Hi, you're on the Alice Reddit Stories channel. Subscribe to my channel as well as to my Facebook, the link is in the description. Enjoy watching. I was married to my husband for about a year. I have been living apart from him for a few months now. I finally have the time to think about everything that's happened. I started going to a therapist and she told me my MIL gave me all the proof I needed to confirm that my husband was sexual with his mom. She said my husband and his mom have an enmeshed relationship. His dad left when he was young and she calls my husband her favorite son openly. My husband has a brother. My therapist said that she used my husband as a replacement when her husband left. I'm struggling with this because I feel like I don't have real proof that him and my MIL are really crossing the line. But a few times my gut has told me they are. Also, from what I've seen, there is a probability of it. Maybe I had enough to go off of to really leave him, or maybe I was just being jealous. Here's some of the things that have happened. When I first was interested in him, his colleagues told me he was really attached to his mother. He talked about her a lot to them and stayed with him every summer. I didn't think much of this and thought it was nice he valued his mother. First time meeting her was great. We went to her house and all seemed well till dinner. Then she began rubbing the inside of his upper thigh with her foot under the table. I was uncomfortable but didn't say anything and thought maybe this was just affection. The next night we were watching TV and she put her feet in his lap. He instantly started massaging them. She moaned kind of oddly. I thought this was just more affection and tried to ignore the weird moaning. Next day she was talking to husband about how she was buoyant because of her big boobs. Odd, but okay. We left the next day and I had been trying to stuff down the weirdness that lingered with me. A few weeks later, my husband told me about how his mom would take him to a resort every other year. He talked about all the things she would buy him and how much he loved it. I got curious and decided to ask him more questions. I said, "Oh wow, does she get you your own room too?" He said no. I laughed and said, "Well, at least you get your own bed." He got super defensive and said, "So what if I have my own bed or not?" "It's nothing sexual." I said it was a little weird that he shared a bed with his mom, and he said I was a judgmental prick. He yelled at me on and off for the rest of the night. Then summer rolled around and she came to visit us. He told me they were compromising for me and that she would only stay for 3 weeks instead of the usual whole summer. I still was not looking forward to 3 weeks of awkwardness. But I planned on keeping positive about it and decided I would try to get to know her better. So much weird happened when she was staying with us, so I'll try to just hit the really weird out there ones in detail. But overall, every time I tried to talk to my husband, she would stand or sit in between us. She frequently sat on his lap and kind of bounced on him. One night after dinner we were eating popsicles for dessert. She was sitting directly across from my husband and staring at him. She sucked that popsicle like it was the best dick she's ever had. I thought maybe it was in my head, but then she started moaning. I was shocked and absolutely mortified. It was like watching a porn ad. She got the melting popsicle all over her face. She has lip fillers that have kind of deflated in her age, so it looked absolutely disgusting paired with the moaning. Her baggy lips up and down, in and out on the popsicle combined with moans. It took all my strength not to burst out laughing. I started playing guitar to cover the sound of the moans and she seemed to get pissed. I talked to my husband when we were alone before bed. I asked him if he thought the popsicle thing was strange and he said yeah, a little, but don't make a big deal about it. I asked him why she did that and he said to not talk to him about it. Over the next few days, I would catch them playing footies under the table at meals. He would come up behind her and pull her body into the front of his real close and massage her shoulders. She would kind of grind on him a little. It was so weird to watch, I kind of blushed and walked away. I finally sat my husband down and said I was feeling uncomfortable with the amount of physical closeness he had with his mom. He blew up and pretty much said she would notice if he wasn't physical with her and she would get mad at him. He said there was nothing wrong with how physical they were and that I was a jealous person. We still had a week left of her visit, and after many hours of fighting and him calling me a jealous bitch, I told him I needed to set up some boundaries. I said that I would ask her in front of him to be a little less physical with him because it made me feel uncomfortable. He said fine after hours of fighting and me stating this was a boundary for our relationship and I needed to be heard. He also said that I'd regret it. We were sitting by the fireplace the next night and I told her I grew up with different levels of affection than their family and I felt a little uncomfortable with the level of physical affection her and my husband were showing. She said laughed and said, "What like this?" and grabbed my husband by his inner thigh, practically crotch. My husband said, "Mom," and shook her off. Then she laughed again and put her feet on his lap. He massaged her feet and she moaned a little. I went to bed and pretty much stayed to myself the rest of the week, avoiding them as much as possible. After she left, I was talking to my husband's brother's GF. I told her I felt weird about how physical my husband and his mom were. She told me that my husband's brother told her that his mother did stuff that I can't post on here. I'll say it could still have possibly been seen as educational, but I'm sure many people would have seen it as a problem. I asked my husband about a specific thing brother GF told me, and he said that was a total lie. He called his brother and said that never happened, right brother asterisk? His brother sheepishly agreed. After this, my husband got more and more angry at me every day for everything I did. Small things like leaving a sock the wrong side out in the laundry. I eventually moved out, but I told him I felt pushed out. He ended up telling me that it was because I didn't like his mom and made up stories about her. This isn't a complete account of what happened, just some of the highlights. We went to couples therapy, but I felt like it made things worse. A lot to unpack there that I won't go into since this is already a novel. I feel like I shouldn't have made him choose between me or his mother. But I also felt so uncomfortable with their physical closeness. I don't know if I made the right choice to leave or if I should have accepted their kind of relationship. Last night, I came home after having some drinks with my brother for his birthday. He told me about how his girlfriend didn't do anything special for his birthday and invited her friends over to hang out on his birthday, not even to celebrate it. After I told her the story, she just unloaded on how unhappy she was in our marriage. She said she's never been happy the time we'd been married, when she graduated recently. I didn't do anything special for her. I don't talk to her about what's going on with my life, my financial issues. I'm generally negative and it has an impact on her. She thinks she's too much for me to handle, dead bedroom, my depression, and probably more, but it was a lot to process, so that's all I can remember at the moment. I asked her to elaborate on things that I didn't understand and apologized for making her feel that way. Context that applies: we live in the USA. My wife works full-time graveyard shifts, often putting in overtime. She just got her bachelor's and will soon go for her master's, then PhD. I work 9 to 5, am in the military reserves, and am going to school full-time online. To elaborate a bit on the issues she mentioned, when she graduated, I bought her favorite dinner, a box of her favorite local donuts, and 2 coffee mugs with her name and profession because she loves coffee. I guess she was expecting a trip or something that lasted more than a night. I agree that I don't talk to her about what's going on in my life. We're both pretty busy and she likes to process the day by telling me every detail, and I prefer to just not think about the day and focus on relaxing. I've explained that to her. To go into the history of my depression, it's pretty recent. I'm a reservist in the military and volunteered to deploy in 2020 in response to COVID. Came back, proposed to her, we got married within a few months of me being back. We also bought a house, and I got a promotion in my civilian job. All of those life stressors happened at the same time, and next thing I know I'm laying on the couch all day. Realized I need help, went to a psychiatrist and a therapist. Did that consistently, and still am. Gradually felt better towards the end of 2021, and I feel much better now. My financial issues: while she was going to school, I picked up the majority of the bills and house chores so she could put her time into school and work. She went part-time. I was struggling and put stuff I couldn't afford on a credit card. Dumb, I know. I just didn't want her to stress any more than she already was. I also have gone through a few jobs and got fired from one, which she barely told me that it stressed her out. Last year I had a decent paying job, but I wasn't happy with it. A friend suggested I go to his company. It was nothing like he described it. Worked there 9 months and realized I couldn't do it anymore, and I just quit. First time I didn't put in 2 weeks, but therapy taught me how to put myself first. Got another job quick. Got COVID and got fired for a no-call no-show. I had gotten COVID on a Thursday, called the company's medical, and they told me to test on Saturday and call them. I did that and called, left a voicemail. Never got a call back. That Friday I told my supervisor what medical told me to do, and I'd call him Monday with an update if I had one, otherwise I'd rest. No update, so no call. They fired me for a no-call no-show. I was out of work for 2 months and now I'm working a good job. I think my wife saw that as financial instability, even though I was still paying for half of everything, from savings. My negativity: I don't consider myself negative, I'm just low energy. So when I'm home and not doing chores, I'm watching TV, reading or playing video games. I'm not expressive or animated, I'm level-headed and quiet, usually. Think Toby from The Office or Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec, that's my energy level. She's very animated and expressive. We have both always been like that. Dead bedroom, she works graveyard and I work 9 to 5. We literally sleep on opposite schedules. If we wanted to have sex, the only times would be when she's coming back from work and I'm headed out the door for work and vice versa. But even before that, before our marriage, one time I started touching her to try to initiate something and it triggered some trauma from her past of sexual assault. I've also been falsely accused of rape and sexual assault from a previous relationship, so this caused me to be more cautious with initiating sex. As far as her saying she's too much for me, I still don't really understand. Despite asking her to explain, she said she isn't confident that if she got fired right now that I could support her single-handedly. She doesn't look at me the same. It seems like she's fallen out of love with me romantically, and wants time to process everything because she doesn't really know how she feels. But I can tell that she's done with our marriage. It feels to me that she doesn't want to give it a try. She hasn't asked for a divorce, she just asked for time to process everything. For me, divorce isn't an option. I have really old school values, so I took my vows very seriously. I'm just at a loss with everything. I'm hurt that she waited 2 years to tell me she's unhappy. I'm hurt that I didn't make it clear that she could express it to me. I think some of her accusations are valid, while some are a stretch. I'm someone who needs to take action, so it's difficult for me to just sit here and wait on her to process this. I feel she'll just tell me she wants a divorce. Of course I'll give her the time she needs, the thoughts are just going to eat away at me. I'm sorry if I left anything important out, feel free to ask for any clarification. I appreciate anyone who takes some time to share some advice or points out any thoughts/observations that I missed. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel. There are many interesting articles ahead.